Hello, my beautiful viewers. Now, as every week for the past 3 years of my life, I bought a shit ton of manga. And after reading the majority of them, I selected 2 volumes to talk about and recommend to you insatiable manga enjoyers. Now, hopefully, this series is gonna come out at least once a week, supposedly on Saturdays. So if you're interested in discovering new manga series, be sure to click that subscribe button. Thank you very much, and done talking, let's get to the video. So, the first volume I wanted to talk about is a manga series that I never really paid any attention to. I always saw it in the corner of my eyes on like the shelves in manga stores or in the recommended section on like Amazon and shit. But for whatever reason, it never really sparked an interest in me. But that is up until last week, when after clocking out of my shift at work, I headed straight to the bookstore, and especially to the manga section. Couldn't really find anything particularly interesting to read, and there I was, finding this one again. Kowloon. So I went into this manga basically blindly. I did not know anything about the story, and I'm very glad that was the case, because I think that I managed to find one of the best first volumes I have read in a while, especially with its ending that made me literally compulsively go online and buy the rest of the fucking 6 volumes that are already out. So I think I know what I'm gonna be reading in the next week. There's a certain amount of satisfaction in finding a treasure just following your intuition, and without even knowing that it ever really existed. A bit later I find out that it's written and illustrated by Jun Maizuki, sorry if I butchered the pronunciation, which is the same author that made After the Rain, which I unfortunately have not read the manga, but I have seen the anime, which I enjoyed in a way. So a couple of days ago I finally read this volume, and what caught my interest since the very beginning, really, its atmosphere. Now, I know that it is a really generic thing to say, but hear me out. The story starts with a completely ordinary morning. We see a woman waking up and go through her morning routine, which for whatever reason includes eating watermelon with cigarettes. Have you ever tried that? Is it good? We get to see her small apartment. Feels and looks very cramped and old, yet like an extremely homey and comfortable place to be in. At this point comes one of the first things that assure me to give this work a chance. A very simple yet extremely effective camera movement. With each of the panels, the woman gets smaller and smaller, with the amount of detail around her increasing up to a point where she, supposedly the main character, becomes almost invisible, melted with the details of her surroundings. A bit later, we find that the woman is called Reiko, and she works in a real estate agency, situated in Kowloon, an actual Chinese walled city that existed, if I'm not mistaken, from the late 1800s up to 1994, when it was for many different reasons demolished. Now, the story initially presents itself as a pretty generic romance. You got the reference? Generic romance? God, this channel is entertaining as hell. This first volume mainly focuses on building upon the relationship between Reiko and one of her co-workers, a pretty easygoing yet dependable man. Now, although the romance aspect between the two characters doesn't really bring anything new to the genre, nor it isn't particularly daring with its narrative choices, it still results in quite an enjoyable first volume filled with entertaining yet down-to-earth interactions and characters. Other than the fact that the ending of this first volume is, at least in my opinion, a fucking masterclass on how to give your audience, your readers, a reason to fucking run and buy the next volume. But as I said before, what truly keeps you interested in reading this is the atmosphere. But let me explain. Looking at this now non-existent city, where almost 50,000 people live their everyday life, kids going to school, adults going to work, and a lot of memories being made. Well, it gives you some sort of a nostalgic feeling. This manga manages to almost absorb you into its pages and showing you something so far, both geographically and probably culturally, in a way that makes it very easy for you to see yourself being a part of that world that's no longer there. I mean, sure, the series' strongest selling point is something so easy to miss. It really not be for everybody. But if you enjoy stories that are mostly based on everyday situations, so basically a slice of lives, and if it's easy for you to sympathize with completely ordinary, normal characters, I think it definitely must read for you. As of today, Kowloon Generic Romance has only 7 volumes, and in my opinion, it's not gonna get probably more than like 10 to 13 volumes, because it doesn't really seem like a story that could go on for too long, so I feel very prone to recommend this manga to you. Now, the second manga that I decided to include in this video is actually a single volume story made by none less than Paru Itagaki, the same author that wrote the, critically acclaimed Beastars, which is one of my favorite manga series actually, and not for the reason you're thinking. Now this story is called Bota. What that means, I don't know. I tried to search for it online, but I have absolutely no fucking clue. Now you would ask me, what exactly is this manga about? I don't know. And not because I haven't read it, because believe me, I did twice. Let's take one step at a time, maybe that will help. This here, you can see on the cover, is the main character, 29-year-old woman called Mako Higari. Mako is a fairly, normal human being, except for one very, very tiny detail. She's a complete clean freak and every time she gets in contact with anything dirty, her nose just explodes in a sea of blood. Now this happens every time she interacts with something actually dirty, like money or trash. But it also happens every time she tries to have sex with somebody, or even if she tries to kiss them. That is why Mako's main objective in life is to finally manage to find somebody that she could have sex with, without obviously covering them in blood and traumatizing them for the rest of their life. After many failed attempts, we discovered that what she thinks is a sort of an allergy towards dirt is actually somewhat closer to a traumatic response to something that happened during her childhood. But I'm not gonna go too much into detail in order not to give you too many spoilers, considering that story is just 1 volume long, so you can just read it. I guess it's not gonna take you too long. It's like, 200 pages maybe, and it doesn't have a lot of text, so it is quite fast to read. Now let's just say that her search for a mate continues up to a point when she meets an old schoolmate, this guy. And after kissing him, well, weirdly enough, her nose doesn't start to bleed. I'm not gonna really go farther, discover it for yourself. Now, one thing I wanted to note about this manga is its very peculiar art style. Because up until now, we got very used to see Baru Takagi's art style. Used to draw anthropomorphic animals, really long and a little bit messy strokes, almost an absence of straight lines. And I really think that the style works really well to depict something like animals' fur and faces. But I wasn't so sure about the results of using such an art style to draw a human being. But well, to my surprise, it kind of works and kind of doesn't. Because her exaggerated, almost caricature-like style manages to be extremely expressive at some points. It gives the characters this sort of soft plasticity that manages to give every scene a bit of a very dynamic feeling. Some final considerations. This manga, well, let's be honest, it's a weird one in all of its aspects, from the story premise to the art style. I honestly put this manga in this week's video not because I really want to recommend it to you, nor am I going to say that you really need to give it a try, but almost because of how unique and weird it is. I think that out of the volumes that I have back there, which are quite a lot, this is probably one of the most weirdest story premises I have seen in a while. Other than the main story, at the end you have like 20 pages of a very short story in which there's a Japanese Santa Claus in a love hotel with an escort, and I'm not gonna go farther. Discover it for yourself, as I already said. Now, thank you very much for watching this video. I really do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Other than that, thank you very much again, and I really hope I'm gonna be seeing you in my next videos. So, goodbye.